Hey, so I've started to, starting now, starting to do some daily vlogs to keep me focused on the different pathways that are going on in life. Because in life, there's a lot of things that are going on all at once, and I have a hard time keeping track of them all. So I figured I'd talk about them a little bit to keep them all straight in my brain and sort out the mundane stuff from the important stuff and keep all those threads rolling. So, on my mind, recently a lot of camping stuff. We just got back from hiking a section of the Appalachian Trail, and there were parts of it that were really fun and parts of it that were less than fun. But that's how backpacking is, and it gives you a lot of perspective. And I can't stop thinking about going back soon and the little tweaks I would make to our gear to make it more enjoyable, things like that. So there's been a lot of that. Yesterday we got to hang out with Alex. So Alex Wright is married to Seth Wright. Seth Wright was one of my buddies in college, and he's in Seattle right now. Alex was in town and came to hang out with us, so that was really good. But she mentioned that Seth was going to be Seth and she are going to be doing some hiking in the future. So we got good talks about that, and that Seth has the beginnings of maybe getting on a long distance trail, doing a through hike sometime in the next 10 years. So, Seth, if you're saying this, me too, I'm going to reach out to you in another format, and we'll talk about it. It'll be good. Other things. Right now, the apartment, I just called our maintenance guy, texted him again, because our pilot lights are off, and the system that we have are like individual heating units. So I need him to come turn the pilot lights on, because it's a weird old like 1930s system, and he knows how to do that. And in spite of my best efforts to read the directions, could not get the pilot lights lit. So I'm going to let him do it. So if we all blow up, then it won't be my fault. So, hopefully he comes soon. Other things. I'm off work for a while. It's been really good. A lot of refocusing, recentering, and then back at it next weekend. I've been avoiding GRE study. What I have been doing is studying and doing continuing education credits for my critical care registered nurse certification, which is a critical care, it's a certification, that's what it is. It requires 100 hours of continuing education credits to renew it. So there you go, I'm working on that. And the critical care certification is required for application to most CRNA programs, which is Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist. What that stands for, and I would like to join a program. So we'll keep working towards that. It's hard though, because there's a lot of logistics that are difficult with that, as far as you can't really work during most programs. It's not like a normal graduate degree where you work and study at the same time. It's just you study for 3 years and then you graduate. And so that's a lot of income lost. So there's a lot of preparing to shrink our expenditures. So it includes buying a lot of stuff now to shrink our expenditures in the future, so we don't have to buy a lot of stuff during those 3 years. Paying off debt in preparation for that as well, so that we don't have accruing payments. Besides student loan debt, that will be on hold. So that's kind of a big preparation piece as well, paying off debt. And the hard part is that I've just been so thrilled recently with our hiking. Like, it was it's an impactful thing. Every time you go like on a multi-day backpacking trip, it's really been impactful for my psyche, and just seeing what's important in life and being appreciative of comforts, but also being appreciative of the simplicity of, I don't know, I kind of see this hybrid world in the future. Well, right now we live in a very complex urban society where we can get all our needs met relatively easily, like all our basic needs. And then I'm thinking, like, with our increasing technology, we don't need a lot of the systems that we have in order to do that. So for example, when it was 5 in the morning, I was awake on the trail and I got up and made some coffee, right? All it was a tiny little canister stove and some water that we had kind of filtered from a spring, and some instant coffee, which wasn't the best, but it was pretty good. And it was just me on top of a mountain drinking coffee, and being very content and happy because I had a very high-tech tent that was keeping my wife and my child warm and cozy, and I had my coffee in the middle of nowhere, which is awesome. And I was wrapped in several layers of super high-tech clothing, and I was warm, and I was drinking coffee, and I was well fed, away, very far away from the kind of normal processes that were required to, all the infrastructure required to make those things was far away, but I still had these luxuries in the wilderness, and it was all in a relatively compact and portable package. And so I got to have all the modern cool things while also being in the very natural and beautiful and psychologically healthy wilderness. And so I think that's kind of the future, really, is making more suburban space. Like you see this, right? Making more suburban spaces, and urban spaces just look more like nature. Like we don't need to have some of the things that I don't know. Imagine going camping with Wi-Fi, say, or imagine you lived for very low rent, right? Like you lived in a beautiful camping area, right? Like all those psychological benefits of living in a forest while also having all the high-tech commodities of today, right? I don't know, I kind of see that just being the future. Yeah. And more trees. And living in the trees. But I don't know. That just seems really cool to me. I think in the future also, like in a lot of the trail that we were on, we had cell service, right? On the Appalachian Trail, right? It's something you would think was quintessential wilderness. It's not really very wild. We were probably 5 miles away from like towns and farmland the entire time. So pretty soon, as our network grows, we're going to have just global coverage of internet, right? We're not going to have a place where you really get away from the internet, even if we're far away from like infrastructure. So I kind of see that being a cool opportunity. Yeah, I don't know. I should do that. I should get some land and I should have like a long-term campsite and try to maintain that. I'm not sure the logistics of that would be, because when you have a long-term site, it tends to get kind of funky, as far as roadways and garbage takeaway and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think as technology progresses, we'll have less waste. I think that's going to be that's obviously a new kind of frontier for industry, and consumer goods too. So yeah, I think even with like things like van life and people living in RVs more and like making really nice RVs and living in them full time, I think people are realizing that we have basic needs, and once you have those basic needs, the other stuff really doesn't matter quite as much. So I'm making a very long video, but I really think that that's going to be the way things go in the future. I hope it is anyway. And so I think we'll prize mobility, and I think all our high-tech camping stuff's going to get more high-tech, lighter weight, smaller package. And I think it's going to be to the extent where we can carry everything we need on our back, and we'll actually be able to have a really, really high level of comfort, right? So, and you can have a high level of comfort if you have a high level of skill out in the wilderness. But I think you'll see more and more kind of consumer-ready products that will really keep you pretty comfortable in a wilderness setting. And so I think that'll be good for backpacking. I think that may be problematic when more and more unhospitable areas can be populated. That's going to be kind of difficult. Plus, I bet once we hit Mars and we start colonizing Mars, we're probably going to have a lot of really cool, like, all-in-one living pods that we'll be able to use on Earth too. People will be living in that and in the desert and just in horrible conditions and making previously unvaluable real estate usable. So I'm not sure how to leverage that for my own benefit in the future, but we'll see. For now, I'm just going to keep camping and stuff like that. And also, speaking of livable things, next couple months we're going to be basically just sprucing up the apartment. Yeah. But we'll let you know how that goes tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow.